It is June 12th, 2025. We're looking at the strawberry moon through some cloud, obviously. It's coming in and out of cloud. Excuse me. We're a little after midnight here. Yeah, so it's been quite cloudy, hazy, rained, but nevertheless, we've been able to get some interesting video footage of the strawberry moon, which this year is at its lowest in the sky. It's sort of like a winter solstice sunrise sunset situation, so it rises south of east, sets south of west, basically fairly short trajectory through the sky, quite low above the horizon. In fact, right now it's still less than a hand span above the horizon, I'd say, or maybe a little over. I mean, that's not the most accurate measurement, but uh-oh, what happened here? Yeah, there's a cloud. So, okay, here it comes. It's coming back. It's coming back. That's strange. Oh, there it is. Okay, a little off to the right. So let's just pan over here a bit. And we'll let it rise up through the frame again. This is pretty powerful telephoto. We were using a Sigma 150 to 600 millimeter zoom lens at the 600 millimeter end of things, but we're also using a 3x teleconverter, bringing it up to 1800 millimeters. So it's essentially almost filling the frame. There's not much space on the above and below the moon in terms of the frame, and we can see it's moving across the frame almost horizontally. I think at this point it must be near its zenith, highest point in the sky. I'm just debating if I should lower the ISO a bit. I mean, I'm seeing on the screen plenty of detail, and it may be brighter on the screen. Excuse me. Yeah, it's almost horizontal here. It's moving across the frame without really moving up or down. It must be right at the top of its trajectory. In fact, I'm just going to pan to the right a bit. There we go. Let things settle down. So, yeah. I'm just debating the exposure here. Like, what I'm seeing on the screen is quite good. I'm thinking, however, that I could go a little bit darker, third of a stop, maybe even 2/3 stop. See, we got a bit of wind vibration there, but one of the reasons I'm shooting video instead of stills is it basically helps to eliminate the vibration issues in terms of a single frame or a few frames. If I was to shoot still photos, keeping the vibrations minimal, it's quite difficult. It's not an easy thing to do. So in terms of keeping things sharp, I'm better off shooting video. And the other thing you can do with video is you can stack it to reduce noise and so on. So yeah, I think we'll stick to video. And as you can see, I'm not wide awake. We got some video earlier. Already uploaded it to YouTube. If you look for Strawberry Moon NDG, you ought to find it. But I also added into the title the 150 to 600 millimeter Sigma zoom lens and the 3 times Kenko teleconverter. So again, looks like the moon is rising. Well, I shouldn't say it's rising. It's traversing the frame in an almost horizontal manner. It might be going a little up, might be going a little down. I can't really tell, to be honest. Yeah, in fact, we're going to pan again. There we go. So it's a bit more near the top of the frame now, but that's just because of, you know, how I oriented things. Do I want to decrease the exposure a little bit? I think I will. As I said, it looks pretty good on the screen. Looks slightly overexposed. But then again, what's on the screen may not correspond exactly with what's on the video. It might already be darker on the video. So nevertheless, I think, actually, you know what, the thing to do is to go both ways and see what happens. That was a train horn. Yeah. Because again, there are differences between what I see on the screen on the back of the camera and the actual video, in terms of exposure and brightness and so on. And in my experience, it does appear that, if anything, the screen's brighter than the actual video. So in other words, what I'm seeing is brighter than what will end up on the actual video. So if anything, I want to overexpose a little bit. Yeah, this is almost horizontal from what I can see. Not rising much, not descending either. If anything, it appears it might still be rising a little bit. Anyway, we're going to pan across again. We're just going to move the moon over there. Let things settle down. So again, it's more near the top of the frame than the bottom, but not by much. But it's pretty well, there's not much wiggle room, as they say. This is pretty much filling the frame in terms of the up and down part of it. Left and right, there's room on either side. You can traverse nicely during so many minutes. But there's not much wiggle room in terms of going up or down. And as I said, it really looks very much like it's traversing pretty much horizontally at this point. So it must be right at its zenith. And as I was saying earlier, yeah, it's about a hand span above the horizon. In other words, I've got my thumb pointing down, my hand fully splayed, spread out, thumb pointing down, more or less at ground level, and my little finger, the tip of my little finger is just touching the moon. So, again, not the most accurate measurement, but I'm sure that's how ancient people did things, I mean, they might have had other means of measuring, but built into the human body, there are methods of measuring things, and that's one of them, the hand span. So, yeah. Again, I'm very, very happy with the results I'm getting with the combination of a 150 to 600 millimeter zoom lens and a 3 times teleconverter. It's
quite sharp. I mean, an actual, whoops, a daisy. Let's just rearrange things a little. Oh, yeah, so it looks like it's rising a bit. It looks like it's, whoops, a daisy. Let's just, so I mean, I could zoom out and have the moon not quite as big, but I do like this very large moon, you know, pretty much filling the frame. Okay, come on. Come on. Excusez-moi. Okay. Okay, there we go. We're just going to leave it as is.
It does appear that it's rising still. Hasn't quite reached its zenith. We will see what happens, because right now the bottom of the moon is very close to the bottom of the frame.
There's more room above.
So if it's rising, it'll rise up through the frame.
And again, I have not adjusted the exposure, because again, what I'm seeing on the screen is pretty darn good. Very similar to what I'm seeing with the naked eye. But there is the issue of what's on the screen possibly being brighter than the actual video. So we'll check that out once we get it uploaded to YouTube. You know, it's a bit of a halo around the moon. Not like a halo, not like a 22 degrees halo, but just a bit of haze, shall we say, around the moon. You can see it in the video, but it's more obvious in the naked eye.
So yeah, what's happening here? Yeah, pretty much a horizontal traverse
of the frame, largely filling it. Bit of cloud moving across there. So yeah, another reason not to go darker is when a cloud does pass in front, that does darken things to a certain extent. So we don't want to overdo it. We're going to pan again soon enough. But I'm just going to keep, like, I'm not going to do a bunch of different clips. I'm just going to use one long clip and just adjust things while it's running. So we're going to put them back on the left side. We're going to tighten things up here a bit. There we go. Oh, that's very nice.
So yeah, this is almost
perfect, I'd say, in terms of the moon being able to move through the frame. A little bit of space at the bottom there, a bit more at the top. I think it is still rising. Hasn't quite reached its zenith yet. I'll check the time. 1:32. So again, I can check on astronomical software and websites and so on, you know, when it actually reaches its zenith.
It's zenith in Montreal. I'm a little tired, a little sleep deprived, so don't mind me screwing up a little bit every now and then. But yeah, again, it's very clear. You know, there's so little give above and below. It's very clear that it's pretty much just moving horizontally at its peak of its trajectory. It appears it might still be rising. I don't see much evidence of it setting, put it that way. So it's slowly moving across the frame. It is cloudy, hazy, obviously. There has been some rain. It was coming down a bit earlier. I was inside uploading other videos. Excusez-moi. So we got 5 minutes left in this 20-minute video clip. So we're just going to let it run. We're just going to keep adjusting, but again, almost horizontal across the frame. Looks like it is rising slightly, which is fine because it's closer to the bottom of the frame than the top.
Oh, here we go. We're going to come and bring the moon back over the other side. Tighten things up a bit. There we go.
Yeah, this is very nice. We're just going to let it run across here. And I'm pretty sure the focus is about as good as it can get. Might be slightly off, but I did use, you know, a magnified view to try to get the focus. Excuse me, right eye. 4 minutes to go. 4 minutes and 17 seconds. We're just going to let this run.
But just to give you an idea here, we're using a 150 millimeters to 600 millimeters Sigma zoom, the contemporary model, which is the cheaper one. I believe it's at 600. I'm quite sure it's at its fullest zoom. And we have a, between that lens and the camera, we have a 3 times teleconverter that triples the power. So we're really at 1800 millimeters right now. Almost 2000. 2000 would basically be too tight. This is basically perfect in terms of having the moon pretty much fill the frame. We really wouldn't want it much tighter than this because we do need a little bit of space above and below the moon to allow it, you know, to rise a little bit, set a little bit. Although, as I said, it really appears to be going pretty much horizontally at this point, just slowly crossing the frame. We got less than 3 minutes of recording time left. We're just going to let this run. It'll probably get to the other side of the frame before we get to the end of the video clips. So I'll probably do one more adjustment. But I have to say that the sharpness is very good. I'm not going to say it's excellent, but all things considered, I'm happy. I didn't spend a massive amounts of money on this. There it goes. So we're going to shift across here. Still got a couple of minutes of traverse left. There we go. Let the vibrations die down. Okay, it looks like it may be, yeah, I think it's setting now. I believe it looks like it's closer to the bottom of the frame than it was. Although that might be partly due to just, you know, my readjustment of the thing. We'll know soon enough. Again, I just about to yawn. If I caused you to yawn, let me know in the comments, because this will be on YouTube. It'd be nice to know where different people yawned all around the world. So, yeah. So again, we're 150 to 600 millimeter Sigma zoom. The cheaper model, as I said, the contemporary model, as opposed to the sports model. But I think the optics are pretty much the same. I think the difference is in build quality. And I acquired this recently used for, you know, taxes and everything, probably a bit over $700. And the teleconverter I actually bought a few years ago now for $40 used, which is a very good deal. I mean, brand new, they're 200 and something. So somebody kindly sold me theirs for $40, and it's one of the best $40 I've spent on photographic equipment. I am really genuinely impressed with the sharpness of this 3 times teleconverter. I think it's actually better than a lot of 2 times teleconverters. Okay, so 11 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, 0.